station was Norris, and it was named after Norris School, and they had a name that I didn't like, a slogan they had for it. They called it the Hold. Well, I never did go with that because I just don't believe that people would live in holes. And so I'd been punning my mind with it, and so had one of the preachers that I talked to. He would always talk to the people down, talk them when they started calling the community they lived in a hole. He did not like that either. So he started preaching it over the pulpit. He would tell them, you do not live in a hole. Foxes live in holes, wolves, and so on. And we're not animals. So stop low-grading or degrading your own community by calling it whole. So it may sound good to you, but it doesn't look good. You know, you're degrading and low-grading yourself by doing that. And some of the people, but it's still today, some choose to call it the whole as a slang. I don't know what, but I don't guess they mean any harm intentionally, but it's just the way they talk about the place they live.
Do you correct them when you hear it?
Oh yes, every time I hear it, I correct it. That's in a nice way. I try and tell them, look, I know you probably don't mean any harm by it, but it just, I don't live in no hole. I said, I live in the Norris community. I said, I don't consider it as a hole. I said, why should you want to low grade your place you live by calling it a hole? I said, one time it appeared to be something like a hole, but we have long since grown away from that. So let's not put ourselves back there by conversation about thinking it's something cool to say, because it's not. I said, it's very stupid to call your own home where you live a hole. And they will agree, and they've never gotten angry at me about doing it. I guess they, out of respect. But they never would argue the point with me about it. They would just go ahead, I'm sorry, Mr. Reed, we and go ahead on with that conversation.
Names matter.
But I never liked that.
Did you, it wasn't just the community members calling it the whole, was it? It was the white community as well? Or did you have to correct people at city council?
You know, actually, I haven't had to, I don't recall correcting no city councilman. You could tell the engineer that he could resume speed, track speed.
Do you think that your experiences with all of these various complex systems, and as a switch operator, as a conductor, and all of the various rules that you had to negotiate, and the levels of rules that might supersede others, and the complexity of the territories, do you think that those experiences might have fed into your ability to be such an effective community organizer when in negotiating the city council and all of this?
Yes, I think what that did, what things like that does to a person, it make them, they have a tendency to be neutral. In other words, you don't just sit on one particular concrete thing. You have to apply yourself and move according to the instructions that apply to whatever you're doing. Yeah, that's what the way I would kind of explain that. And as far as the city commissioners was concerned, well, yeah, I would study on some of that stuff as to the purpose of a commissioner and what he was actually doing. Of course, now that is something that I think that the Air Force taught me back to apply yourself and to analyze things as you go, as to what, because it's a lot of stuff that they would teach us, and in the Air Force you're constantly in classrooms studying about something, either studying about some aircraft, which I was in air crash rescue, I would have to know what type aircraft that was coming in that we were going to have to set up on. Of course, with a crash truck, you have certain locations that you could set up on, depending on the type aircraft that you were setting up on. Because some of them back during that time, they had this. Well, we had the Scorpion, F-89 Scorpion, the one that would shoot the rockets. And of course, you couldn't set a crash truck right up in front of a rocket. And knowing the man in there was, was kind of not all together, because he had a crash landing, and he was moving around in the cockpit, or if he was out, pretty soon he might come to and start moving around, and all he had to do was raise a level and shoot. He'd shoot rockets and destroy a town if you didn't hurry up and get in there to him. That was another class action suit that, of course, the railroad, they had their own, and of course they gave me a little money out of that for being an employee there and switching in the yard there, handling that hazardous material and stuff that came out of, because see, we had to pull that stuff out of there, and our tracks was right there beside that plant. So all of us was had been contaminated with it because we were all working there.
Any health?
I have not at this time. I have not. No. One thing, Commerce is. I've never actually drank the water that came through the pipes here in Commerce. You might feel. I said, well, that's my feeling. I didn't feel nothing. I said, it's just something that needed to be done. It was my job to do it. I said, that was just it.
Were you ever afraid that there might be some more serious retaliation against you?
Yes.
You were sort of a target in a way because you spoke up, and it was Billy Reed. It wasn't the people in the Norris community. Well, they were behind you.
Yeah, but I made it clear. I made it perfectly clear each time that I represented either a group of people that at the time that I represented whatever event that took place. Well, I let them know that, look, I am the spokesman for the Norris community. We are a chartered organization. I said, I'm their spokesman.
And they vote.
and they voted for me to do this. So I am doing this. And some of them would get all upset and some of them get bent out of shape, but they never did. Well, they tried to challenge me because some of them they put out a little deal about that saying that if they were going to, the city were going to file suit on me for my party